Everybody, this is Santa Fe 3751. Honest to goodness, genuine steam locomotive. You can see it right there. Just about a bunch of pressure on there. So this is a 484 locomotive. It's all designated by the wheel arrangement. 4 pilot wheels way up front, 8 really big driving wheels. We got 4 wheels on the trailing truck.
And the breath on the
firebox. Locomotive was built in 1927. It ran until 1953. Had the honor of pulling the last steam-powered train from here to San Diego now. Locomotives were built twice in its life. In 1937, it got the oil tender, which is this tender here. In 1941, it emerged from the shop in Albuquerque looking just like this. This is how the engine went into the park in 1958 after it was retired. SBRHS was formed in the 1980s. Bought the locomotive from the city of San Bernardino for a whopping $1. A lot cheaper than any model train that you can get today. The group restored the locomotive, and since 1991, this engine's been running an excursion and display service. And this locomotive has been almost all over the country. It's been to Grand Canyon, Chicago, Sacramento, several local runs around here, including San Diego. So, anybody here know what any of this stuff does?
Yep.
No. You do? You do?
Pretty decent amount.
Good. I was hoping you'd show me. This is my first day up here. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
So, this stuff here, this is like opening up the circuit breaker panel in your house. Well, this is like the main breaker. This is what goes to what we call our main turret. It's a steam manifold just on the other side of the cab there. That opens up steam to go to all of these. These are all appliances on the locomotives. Air compressors, water pumps, steam pumps, everything we need to have this engine operating smoothly down the road. As the engine gets hot, we open all of these up, and then we pretty much don't touch them unless we absolutely have to while the engine's moving. After that, I can break the rest of this down into 2 sides. This side and that side. This is the fireman's side, or the steam-making side. That's your firing valve. That controls flow of oil from the tender to the burner in the firebox. 7,107 gallons of fuel oil. So if anybody's got their Chevron card on them or whatever, Costco's got the best gas right now, so we could use a little help there. And then this right here is your atomizer. That is a jet of steam that comes out the burner. The oil flows on top of the jet, and it atomizes it or turns it into a mist. So the fire is like taking an aerosol can and lighting the spray. That's exactly what's happening in there, just on a much bigger scale and a lot hotter. And then the all-important water. That's the feed water heater. The other way to put water in the boiler is our injector here. 2 ways to feed water into the boiler. That tender holds 20,000 gallons. That's about what's in an average size swimming pool. So if you got a swimming pool and you can put it on wheels, we'd like to pull it behind us, have a little extra water capacity.
And how much water is consumed per, time unit, hour?
This
I know it
thing's
depends, but
This thing's going, you can consume around 100 gallons of water a minute, turning it into steam to be used by the engine. Fuel, we burn gallons per mile. Gallons per mile, not miles per gallon. While we're sitting here on a spot fire, we'll burn about a couple gallons a minute. When we are going down the road, hauling a train, we're burning around 15 gallons a mile. So,
and what kind of oil is it?
about the equivalent of diesel 2. So it's a bit thicker than what you would put in your typical diesel truck.
It's like super.
So you're the fireman, you're the one making the steam. The engineer sits here, he's the one who uses the steam to make it go. That's your throttle. Pull that out, makes the engine move. That's your Johnson bar. Right now it's in the neutral position. Push it all the way towards the engine, it'll go forward. Pull it back towards you, it'll go backwards. Then the stop the thing, that's the more important part. These are the brakes. Locomotive brake, if we've got a train behind us, train brake. And of course the all-important radio.
Good fun.
So this engine's capable of doing 20 miles an hour in its sleep. In fact, we have a speed tape clock at 103. That's pretty cool. Although rumor has it this engine has hit 120 back in the day.
And, sorry, what's the speed tape? Oh, it actually logs there.
Yes. And all the locomotives pretty much since I think the 1930s have had that.
What's the fastest speed that she's reached in preservation?
In preservation, we've definitely hit 90 degrees.
Wow.
There's places out here where we can go 90. You can get 90 going to San Diego.
Oh, that's fun.
And this engine has done 90.
Did they finish this all at PTC since last year? That's fully ready now.
All we need is a locomotive behind it to hook up to, because we don't have the capability of putting the brains in here, the full system. But one of our guys, and you'll see him here, John Howard, he'll love to explain it to you.
Yeah.
He's the one who designed this system here. So this is designed to hook up to the brains and the trailing locomotive so that we can have the full functionality at a lower cost,
That's
which is
smart.
great for preservation. And his system has logged, I think, about 4,000 miles now with the big boy. So,
Wow.
Hey, as long as it works. As long as we can get excursion stocks back out there.
yep. So, any questions?
When are we leaving? He's
This.
asking when we're taking off.
Oh, when? Well, we're shooting to leave around 6 or a little after, something like that. That's the last I heard on that.
Okay, so which way do you go?
We'll have to go that way.
Okay.
We don't want to go that way.
No, yeah, sorry. I guess, but yeah,
That's
but
that's platform.
but you're not continuing north on any other capacity.
No,
Back to
we're-
San Bernardino.
From here, we will go back to the coach yard where our home is.
What's the best way? We want to see you roll out. Which bridge do you think would be best here?
Either here or the platform or 1st Street or 6th Street. Any of those.
Okay.
So I have a pretty interesting question.
So what gets getting
Because I've never operated a locomotive with a feed water heater, kind of like this. So how does that operate?
So down here below, one of the air compressors is right here for the brakes.
Yeah.
Below that is the cold water pump. That pumps the water up to the very front. On the pilot deck, there's the feed water heater. It's a circulator that draws heat out from the smoke box to heat the water up, way hotter than what the injector can do, especially since it's drawing superheated steam to do that. So the harder the engine's working, the hotter it gets. And then there's a shuttle valve that pumps it from there into the boiler. So it's designed, the feed water heater is designed to put a lot of hot water in really quickly for when the engine's really working. This is more just quick shots while you're sitting still.
Yeah. Or like you're popping off and you're throwing. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
And how big is the crew? Your typical crew when you run it?
Back in the day, you'd have 3 people up here: engineer, fireman, head and brakeman. Up here, we usually have a little bit more. Usually, engineer, fireman. There's usually some other rules qualified railroad up here, and then a couple of our guys up here. Because part of the fun of working on this is also to be able to run, ride, operate the engine, but also as mechanical backup in case things break. We've got tools with us. We've got tools in the tender. So if anything breaks, we've got the ability to at least fix some of it while we're out there on the road.
How does the feel of this change as you pick up speed? If you get up to, I don't know, say 30, 60, 90, like, is it like palpable difference, or is it just?
Have you ever ridden a horse?
Yeah.
You ever gone trot to galloping?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that.
Especially because it's smaller locomotives, so you get the water.
And also like the engine. I mean, like some cars, you hit certain points where it's like, okay, everything just feels totally different, and like it just.
This engine you can stand up in at 60. It's comfortable. Santa Fe was very conscious on the engineering. This thing is cross counterbalance, front to back, side to side, caddy corner to caddy corner, as best they could. So the weight is about as evenly distributed on the engine bed as you can possibly get it.
And does that also affect the ride for like in all the for the passengers, or like?
Back there, not so much. Not how the engine's balanced, not so much. That's all more how the engineer handles the train.
This is, I mean, it's pretty hot up here, and
This
would
is just
imagine-
residual heat.
Yeah, I was gonna. When you're going full.
We had a
forward-
fire in here till 20 minutes ago.
Oh wow.
So we're just below 230, the operating pressure. That's about, that water and steam in there is about 415 degrees Fahrenheit.
When does the safety pop off?
231.
That's good in there. Okay. All right.
Any more questions?
What was the job of head end brakeman who was riding up here with the engine?
Brakeman, way back in the day, literally walked across the top of cars by the brakes.
But by
Or
the,
in a
by
coal burner, they would be the one to grab the shovel.
but by like the 20s and 30s, his job kind of faded out a little bit, right?
Slowly. It wasn't really until the 70s that a lot of brakemen started to go away. Because they still used the cruise a lot for switching.
Can he put his hand on the Johnson car?
Absolutely.
Can we talk about